Blog Talk Radio.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Across this great country, coronavirus might have a grip on you. I don't know. Nobody has a grip on this American Sports History podcast hosted by my good friend Peter Ray, live from Cleveland, Ohio. Move over Browns, move over Cavaliers, Indians, and take the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and just chuck that somewhere. Peter, without further ado, 347-205-9631 is the call-in number. Yours truly, Mark Mancini, producing this. I'm going to give you the podium, the mic, and the red carpet. How are you? And second of all, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, I'm fine, Mark. I'm doing very well. And I have a YouTube channel. The title is Peter J. Ray, R-E-A, and I also have a website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray, and I make history videos, include 673, including every year in Cleveland baseball. Now, before we get into our guest, I want to promote two of the shows coming up on the Stables Network. Bar Reel MMM New Jersey starts July 7th, 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Marianne Costello, Jennifer Medicine, and Mark Mancini. And another show is Sunshine Ignited from YCC, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, starting July 9th, 12 to 12:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Joe Madden and Nicole Pierce. Now, tonight's guest is Daniel Shockley. They call him Dry Doc, and he served for 21 years in the U.S. Navy from 1981 to 2003. He served in the Gulf War, and it dealt with the issue of when Iraq took Kuwait and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan following 9/11. He has a tremendous love of baseball, and he's had a miraculous story regarding severe medical issues that he's overcome through a positive attitude and his faith in our wonderful Heavenly Father. Dan Shockley, welcome to the show.
Peter, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, it really is an honor having you here. Really, it's true. Dan and I talked on the phone for 5 hours a couple of days ago. Had a wonderful talk. Tremendous human being. I thought to start off tonight, Dan, if you could tell us about you're 60 years old, just like me, and you want to talk about baseball and what it's meant to you in your entire life.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was born and raised in the Philadelphia area in 1960. In 1967, I attended my first baseball game at good old Connie Mack Stadium. And then through the years, just loved the game of baseball and moved in Chicago a couple times throughout my high school years. But I just enjoyed the game of baseball. It's just very, to me, it's definitely the American pastime, and I just love going out to the ballpark and just watching, the batting practice and the infield practice, coaching all the different strategies, prior to the game, and it's just a love of mine since I was growing up. In fact, I'll just jump into it. In my Navy career, my 22-year Navy career, I had the opportunity to re-enlist 4 times. 3 of the times were at minor league ballparks. So in Charleston, South Carolina, at the time it was the Padres single-A team, the Charleston Rainbows. After the season was over in '85, I re-enlisted on the pitcher's mound of that ballpark. 4 years later, in Tidewater, the Tidewater Tides, before a game, it was in August of '89, the Mud Hens were in town, and I got to re-enlist behind home plate before the game, and they actually mic'd my re-enlistment ceremony. And that happened to be on Military Appreciation Night, so the ballpark gave my command 75 tickets so my shipmates could be there to enjoy that evening. And now that wasn't enough, 4 years later in Tacoma, I happened to be in Bremerton, stationed on the USS Abraham Lincoln, at the time the world's largest warship. We had just got back from the Persian Gulf in, this was in 96, August of 96. And the Tucson Toros were in town playing the Rainiers. I got to re-enlist behind home plate before that game. And once again, that was Military Appreciation Night, so we got another 75 tickets, and my shipmates were there. And if anybody's familiar with the Rainiers ballpark, on the left foul line, all the way down to the left field, it's all a deck. It's all patio out there, and at the end of the deck is a jacuzzi. So my 75 shipmates, we had that whole deck to ourselves that night. And my department head, a commander, he ended up catching a foul ball, and he's still talking about that to this day. So that was my way of giving back to the community on the importance of what baseball meant to me.
I think it's important, in my belief about life, to be a good person, and to be good to everyone we encounter, regardless of their station in life. And the interesting thing in baseball, there's a tremendous number of minor league baseball players, and only a very small percentage make it to the major leagues. But the good thing about being nice or being kind to everyone that you meet is that one advantage, aside from doing the right thing and doing God's will, is that you never know the persons that you're being nice to, what will come in their future. And now Dan befriended the Alomar family, Sandy Alomar Sr. and Sandy Alomar Jr. and Roberto Alomar at the beginning of the Alomar brothers' minor league careers, when they were nobody. And of course, now they became tremendous stars in MLB. And do you want to talk about the beautiful story of your friendship with the Alomar family?
Well, yeah, it was amazing. I knew it was going to be my last year in Charleston, and I was heading back to San Diego to go to additional schools before I deployed overseas. And I got a box seat at the ballpark there for the Rainbows, was the name of their team. And I was the second row in between the on-deck circle and the Rainbows dugout. And I had, being a box seat, I had access to the players' lounge, which was under the seats before, during, and after the game. And, I was just hanging out, enjoying baseball, and just enjoying, being off the ship. And I was doing some amateur photography, nothing big. And so I showed up at the ballpark with my camera. And after one of the games, I think it was like the second or third game of the season, this big, tall, 6'5" guy come by, and we said hi to him. My buddy and I from my ship, we said hi to him, and he introduced himself, and it was Sandy Alomar Jr. And we just started talking, and he asked, he thought I worked for the paper, and I said, no, I'm in the Navy. I'm just here. I've got a box seat, and I just have my camera just to see how, come out to the ballpark and then take some pictures. And so we ended up, talking, and a couple of weeks later we went on, we went down to Savannah, Georgia to take in a couple games down there at the Cardinals single A team, and the Rainbows were playing. And so we ended up, I had no idea how this happened. We ended up staying in the same hotel that the Rainbows were staying in, and my buddy and I were eating pizza, watching Police Academy, and Sandy Alomar Jr. is walking around the parking lot, and we saw him, and we said hi to him, and he goes, "Hey, aren't you guys from Charleston?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, what are you doing down here?" "Oh, come to see you guys play." And he goes, "You going to be here tomorrow?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, okay. You got tickets?" I said, "No." He goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. Give me your name, and I'll put you on the list, and you just go to will call, and they'll let you in." And then I made a few other road trips throughout the summer. I had a month and a half off the summer of '85, and so I was hitting all the ball games, and then Sandy Jr. invited me over to the apartment, and the mom flew up from Puerto Rico that summer, and here I am hanging out with the whole family, and it was awesome. We just talking, not even baseball, just talking. They asked me about my Navy experience and what I'm planning on doing, and it was just amazing. And I followed them through the years. In fact, I was heading to San Diego in March of '86, and Sandy Jr., we kept in contact through the winter. He asked if I was still going to San Diego in March, and I said, yeah, I'll be out there for about 7 months. He goes, can you swing by spring training in Yuma? And I said, yeah, I think so. So I ended up stopping there, and I stayed 10 nights in the hotel where the minor league players were, and I was just hanging out with all of them, watching the games. Got to meet some amazing folks, and I'm still friends with a number of the Charleston Rainbow players. So just a once in a lifetime opportunity. I didn't plan it; it just happened that way. And then Sandy Sr., in the winter of '85, he got hired by the Padres to be the first base coach. So he wanted to know if I wanted to come to some ball games and to see the Padres, and I said sure. So I went to a lot of ball games between the beginning of the season and the middle of June of '86, and just incredible. Absolutely, just like I said, it's something that I didn't plan. It just happened that way, and I just I cherish those memories. But yeah, thanks for letting me share that.
Well, it just shows it's important to be good to people, and this is, anybody you meet. And what were the chances of the Alomar? You didn't know they were going to become major league stars, which they did, and so that's just a beautiful story. We thought maybe Sandy would call in on the show tonight if he's available. They're having practice. They might be practicing right now. That's such a wonderful story. It's a beautiful thing. Now, Dan, would you like to? Now that you have this major thing came into your life, hereditary colon cancer, and you referred to it as your life today as but you're in extra innings because you're still alive. You came up with this acronym: Attitude, Faith, Adapt, Purpose. Always forge ahead with a purpose. This wonderful. You talked about your positive attitude, full assurance, influence through hope, and attitude determines ability and a positive transformation. Would you like to talk about your the severe health challenges that you've faced and how you're all the number of there's been a number of publications, articles written about your journey and how you've overcome your what could have been a death sentence for someone else. Would you like to talk about that whole experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Peter. I'll just start out. I have an analogy of life and baseball. What do they both have in common? Neither of them have a time limit. So if a game goes into extra innings, I think of it as free baseball. So I look at my life as an 8-year hereditary colon cancer warrior, as my life is in extra innings. So my life, I'm enjoying free baseball. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Now I have a mantra. My mantra is always forge ahead with a purpose, and that's actually taken from, I had an epiphany shortly after my diagnosis and successful surgery, and I woke up in the middle of the night with the 2 words, forge ahead, and so I quickly wrote them down, and I said, well, forge ahead, okay, forge ahead. How about forge ahead with a purpose? And I said, well, that's good, that's FAP, but I have my mutation is, the acronym is AFAP, so I'm thinking, well, what about the A? And I said, how about always? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm always forging ahead. So that's my mantra. And what I do is I have adopted 4 words from the diagnosis and the surgery. And those 4 words are attitude, faith, adapt, and purpose. And attitude, I look at attitude is 100%. Attitude is everything. You could be in a bad mood, but bad moods are temporary. Attitude is permanent. So my positive attitude has had a direct impact on my ability to overcome adversity, and as well as it had a direct impact on my faith. I have a strong faith, and faith, I broke it down into an acronym of full assurance, influence through hope. Now, to me, faith is believing in something you can't see, just in a general sense. If you look out and you see the tree branches swaying in the breeze, you're unable to see the breeze. However, you see the effect of it. So you're having hope in something you can't see. You know it's there. You can't see it, but you see the effect of it. So my positive attitude had a direct impact on my strong faith, which had a direct impact on my ability to adapt to a life having a permanent ostomy since my colon was removed. And then I took the word adapt and I broke it down to an attitude determines the ability for a positive transformation. And I've been able to overcome these obstacles, and I look at everything, and I look at obstacles as a challenge in life. So, so my strong attitude, my positive attitude, strong faith, ability to adapt to this lifestyle with an ostomy, had a direct impact on my purpose in life. And what is my purpose? Is to educate the world on the hereditary colon cancer syndrome I've been diagnosed with and the importance of early detection, and to continue the legacy of Dr. Henry T. Lynch. He's the founding father of hereditary cancer research back in the very early 60s. And I got to meet Dr. Lynch shortly after my surgery. At the time, he was the director of preventive medicine at Creighton University, Omaha, Nebraska. And my genetic counselor and my colorectal surgeon were colleagues of his, and he was coming out to Hawaii, where I was living at the time, to perform some academic lectures. I was invited to attend one of them, got privately introduced to Dr. Lynch, and then we sat down after the lecture, had lunch, and we talked for an hour and 50 minutes. And I picked his brain, and as a result, he considered me a colleague from there on out, and we kept in contact with one another through the years, because the mutation will and has manifested in other organs. So it is in my stomach, my small intestine, and my left eye. So I have to go through routine ophthalmology examinations as well as endoscopic procedures of my stomach and small intestine. It's just an amazing journey. Just my way of giving back, and not only locally and nationally, however, internationally. So I've got, I had the opportunity to write numerous articles and have numerous articles written about my journey. The Rare Revolution magazine, based in United Kingdom, published an article a year ago this month, and the Ostomy Canada Society out of Toronto, at the request of the editor, 2 years ago this month, I wrote an article for them. The Phoenix magazine here in the U.S., they publish a magazine on behalf of the United Ostomy Associations of America. The editor of that magazine asked me to write an article for their fall edition back in 2013. And then the Wound Ostomy Incontinence Nurse Society, based in New Jersey, they did a feature article in spring of 2013 and the fall of 2019. And then I'm also involved with advocacy efforts for hereditary colon cancer awareness in my local community. And what I'm ultimately looking to do is have the fourth week of March designated as Hereditary Colon Cancer Awareness Week. Now, March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. However, I have a hereditary colon cancer syndrome, and the syndrome I have, there's no cure for it, and it's estimated to impact less than 0.03% of the global population. So in my efforts to continue the legacy of Dr. Lynch, what I'm looking to do is to get national designation for the fourth week of March being Hereditary Colon Cancer Awareness Week. And eventually it would take a Senate resolution to get approved for that. It'll take years to do that. However, I'm battle tested. I'm ready for the challenge, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing journey to get that designation. For the nation. It's going to be it's the first time ever that hereditary colon cancer awareness week measure has been addressed. So I'm looking forward to seeing, getting some legislative jurisdiction and collaborating with my legislative members to get that designation, put in writing.
Well, that's such a beautiful story, and I think you talked about your faith, and for me, life has all kinds of challenges, hardships we go through, and the great reality is that our Heavenly Father does exist, and that He loves us. He created us, and He's just a wonderful, this very gentle, peaceful, loving being, very shy, and it's such a resource that most people really ignore. And so in the case for you talk about medical research and so forth, and illness, and I think more and more it's being recognized that prayer works, in helping folks with their illnesses and any challenges you have in life. So that's just such an important thing, because so many people don't know they're there, and they seem like they try everything, and we do need to do other things like medical doctors and so forth. Now, Dan, would you like to talk about? You've been a Philadelphia Phillies fan. Is that correct? You grew up in the Philadelphia area.
Yes, sir. I'm a big Phillies fan growing up through the years, and I just enjoyed listening to Harry Callis and Richie Ashburn. It was amazing. Just a lot of good memories there.
And you, so the 1980 Phillies are a pretty important team for you, aren't they?
Oh yeah, the first time the Phillies won the World Series, and my favorite pitcher. I'm a lefty. I'm 6'1", but my favorite pitcher, left-handed pitcher, was Randy Lurch, and he just happened to be on that team. And it's interesting you mentioned that, because I had the opportunity to meet him last fall. We both live out here in the Sacramento area. He's actually a native of this area, and I'm a transplant. But it's just amazing that we connected, and we met up several times, and we text each other, several times a week. Maybe once or twice a week, do a call with one another, and just a lot of wonderful memories there. Just talk about that team from the 77 till 80, his time on there. It was amazing.
Yeah, and you and Randy have a lot in common. He came out with a book, God in the Bullpen. He was a fine guest on this program a couple months ago, and you two have a lot in common. You both had severe health issues, and you both are strong Christians, have strong faith in our Heavenly Father, and you're both alive. Both of you could have been long gone, but you're alive and inspiration. So that's a wonderful thing. And of course, he played. So it's fun and making friends with these guys who played Major League Baseball. Yeah,
it's just good just to talk. Just talk and about things in life, just whatever's on our mind, and him and I, we have a good bond, and it's just amazing just to be able to just whatever's on our mind, just to share, and actually I've become an honorary member of the Association of Professional Ball Players of America. So actually that's how I ended up getting introduced to Jennifer Madsen or Mark Mancini. Of course, it started everything, and Tony Russo. So, this is another platform for me to share my journey. My analogy of life in baseball, and let everybody know what the importance of early detection and a positive attitude. So just amazing.
Yeah, I like you're friends with the Alomars, and I'd heard the story that Sandy, of course, played most of his career here, and then he played briefly elsewhere, I believe. Then he went into coaching, and then he came back to Cleveland as a coach. And he said he came back because he wanted to be in Cleveland when Cleveland won the World Series, and that's something I thought, oh my gosh, that's just such a beautiful thing. And then now guys like you, because your friendship with Sandy Elmer, you're a Cleveland Indians fan, and we need all the fans we can get.
In fact, last April I was in San Antonio. I went down to Houston to see him. So we got together after the game down in the Players Tunnel and talked for a little bit. But he hadn't seen me for a while, and he didn't. I mean, he knew a couple months earlier about what happened to me because we lost contact over the years. But I was able to get reconnected with him, and so it just it's amazing how things in life just come full circle.
And Sandy was on, was on the field with his catcher's equipment on when Game 7 of the '97 World Series ended, and walked off the field when the Marlins won. And then in 2016 Game 7 in Cleveland, he was the first base coach. And when the final out was recorded, so again he walked off the field, and there's talk about Terry Francona. I think is the best manager in baseball, and he's having health trouble. So whenever he decides to step down, there's talk of Sandy becoming the next manager. And I sure hope they hire him. And if they do, it's going to be pretty cool because you're his friend, and I'm friends with you, so I could become friends with Sandy Elmer. And then I know the Indians are going to win the World Series, and it could be with Sandy Elmer as manager. And how cool would that be?
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. That sure would be. Yeah.
So
I'll
fun.
definitely come out for that.
It's funny. We talked the other day all about the guy. It's funny when you and I are the same age, guys our age. Back in to me, the '70s baseball will always be so important. I think about the guy. I think about Catfish Hunter a lot, and when Catfish Hunter died of Lou Gehrig's disease, I cried, and when I heard Tom Seaver couldn't make it to the 50th anniversary last year, I cried, and so all the guys from the 70s, when we were kids, Reggie Jackson and Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, all those guys. You want to talk about the 70s baseball players that you remember?
Well, in the early 70s, 72 to 74, the Oakland A's were my that was my go-to team, and it started in '75. And then, of course, for those who don't know, the Athletics actually originated in Philadelphia, so I can say that I was rooting for a team that was originally from Philly, even though they were in Oakland. But that was an amazing team, all 3 of those years. And I love the game of baseball, so there's not favorite teams. Of course, with Sandy and when Robbie was playing too, whatever teams they were on, those are my favorite teams. But those are those are 2 players that I've seen come up, followed them through the ranks and visited different ballparks during their playing careers. But I just love watching highlights. The old Game of the Week highlights with Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek was doing those back in the 70s, and it's just amazing, wonderful memories. In the World Series, Kurt Gowdy did all the World Series, I believe, up until 74 or 75.
And when the Blue Jays won the World Series in '92 and '93, you must have been thrilled.
Oh my gosh, yeah. In fact, I
Robbie
called
Alomar at second.
I called his parents down in Puerto Rico right as the game right after they won that the first one in '92. I called them and they were just going ecstatic. I think they must have been at the second time when the next year they went. But it was amazing, just absolutely amazing.
It looks like we have a minute to go. Do you have any final thoughts, Dan Shockley, known as Dry Dock?
Well, it's just in life, just we maintain a positive attitude. We have 2 choices. We can either react or respond. So I tend to respond by embracing whatever the situation is that I'm faced with, and try to learn as much about it as I can to prepare myself. In the military, I had a lot of Marines that I had the opportunity to serve with on ships and over in the Middle East, and they believe in attitude or adapt, improvise, and overcome. And I feel that that's definitely part of the military experience I've had. It's afforded me the opportunity to adapt, improvise, and overcome to life having a hereditary colon cancer syndrome and having a permanent ostomy. So just always forge ahead with a purpose is my mantra, and that's what I continue to do. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to share my journey on this platform.
Well, thanks again so much, Dan, for coming on. Dan Shockley, and I'm so happy to become friends with you because, it's always nice to have real friends, and I know you're a real friend. Next week looks like we're going to have Phil Martelli, the Michigan assistant basketball coach, so that ought to be a fine show. Dear listener, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.